Slash message that I want to bring to the congregation today. Because I am conscious of the fact that the family that prays together stays together. And the family that plays together, that all plays and prays together, will stay together.
Yeah.
Isn't that so?
Yeah.
If we want a better school, if we want a better church, if we want a better society, then we must start with a home.
Yeah.
Isn't that so?
Yeah.
So today I want to talk about the master key to marital compatibility. What did I say?
Master key.
To marital compatibility. Let me see the hand of all those who are married here. I want to see all the husbands and the wives. I want to see all the husbands that are sitting next to their wives. Any husbands sitting next to their wives? Alright, I'm seeing the elder at the back, he's sitting next to his wife. I'm seeing your wife at the back, she's sitting next to her husband. That's good. Anyone else? Now let me tell you, I am very strong on family life. Maybe if I wasn't married, I would not have been that, I would not have been that pushy for family. But I believe because of my experience growing up in a broken home and coming from a broken family, I do not want to end up in a broken marriage. And so by God's grace, this year on the 12th of July, it will make 5 years since I'm married.
Amen.
To my beautiful wife.
Amen.
It's not that we were having bed of roses.
No.
We had ups and we had downs. But the good thing about it is that we spend time together with each other and we commit our marriage to God.
Yes. Amen.
And I'm persuaded that marriages can work and still will work.
Amen.
Once Jesus is in that marriage.
Amen.
Once He's in the center of your marriage, it can work and it will work. So I can encourage us all to, when you come to church, try to sit next to your wife or sit next to your husband and let the family sit together so that we can see that, let the community see that this church is a family church, because families will be going to heaven.
Amen.
Alright? And so today I want to talk about the master key to marital compatibility. The master key to marital compatibility. Roll on for me. Every day, thousands of couples get divorced on grounds of incompatibility. You hear the preacher?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the divorce rate is growing every year. And you might want to say that the world is experiencing a high divorce rate, and it is not applicable to the church.
No.
But I want you to think again. Because even in the church, we are having divorce at an alarming rate. I did not get on all of the statistics of divorce in the Adventist church, but at a subsequent presentation, I'll be able to present that to us. But the truth about it is this: about 40 to 50% of married couples in the United States divorce. You heard the preacher?
Yeah.
And the divorce rate for subsequent marriages is even higher. So the idea is this, that when you divorce and you get married or you remarry, you are at a higher risk of being divorced again. That's why God says that He hates divorce and He hates separation. And so, friends, in the United States, couples marrying for the first time have approximately a 50% chance of divorcing. That is, for every 100 marriages, 50 marriages are likely to end in divorce. Why is that so? you may ask the preacher. It's because of several things that occur. Now, statistics states that, I will list a few of them, or several of them, reasons why marriage ends in divorce, or many marriages end in divorce. One of that is infidelity. So husband is unfaithful to wife, or wife on being unfaithful to husband, cause the marriage to end because of infidelity. Another is money management, finance in the marriage, or the inability to manage the finance in the marriage or in the relationship, or enough or insufficient finance in the marriage leads to divorce. You heard the preaching today?
Yeah.
All these are alarming statistics. In addition, they also show us that incompatibility is also likely to cause marriage to end in divorce. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm thankful to God that you are here today.
Amen.
Because before you leave here, I want to give you some tools that will help you and can help me, that our marriages will not end in divorce. Roll on for me, technician. And so, while that is so, the Bible tells us, in fact, God, the marriage designer, provided compatibility when He created Eve with a rib from Adam. Understand, when God was about to create the woman, God did not build the woman just the way He made the man.
No.
But God went down into Adam's side, and He took out a rib, and He built him a woman, and He brought her to Adam to see. In fact, when He brought her to Adam, Adam said, "This is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called Ish," which is, in fact, Isha, which is woman, because she was taken out of man. So God made the woman compatible for Adam. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot understand why a man with six-pack like me, biceps and triceps like me, will want to say to a man looking like himself that he loved that man. Something is wrong with that man's mind. There is nowhere in this world that I can find a man like myself being attractive. And so God created a woman because the woman was designed differently. She was a helper. And so the Bible reads in the book of Genesis, chapter 2. I want to go there. Let's read the one that we have on the screen, and then I'll read the rest for us from the Bible. Go on. Print it again. It will go. So the Bible says this in Genesis 2:18. What the Bible says, it is not what?
For man to be alone. I will make him a help suitable for him.
So the Bible is telling us it is not good for
man
to be alone.
True.
So understand, when God was about to create Eve, God decided to allow Adam to name the animals. And while Adam was naming the animals, Adam realized for every lion, there was a lioness. Adam realized also for every donkey, the donkey had a companion. But for himself, there was no companion. And so God, in His infinite wisdom, God said, it is not good for the man to be alone, so I will make him an helper suitable for him. And that's why I believe that God made the women specially for men.
Amen.
Because there are certain things that God placed in the woman that He wants her to bring out in the man. Are you hearing me? And so that's why when a man gets a woman and he's in love, something different happened to him. Love is a very beautiful thing. Very beautiful. I remember the first time I fell in love. And you know they say you shouldn't fall in love. You should grow in love. But the first time I fell in love, not sleep. I could not eat. Because I'm thinking about the one I'm in love with. That's how special love is. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, but when I got married, I realized that the love got to another level.
Yeah.
Because being with someone each day and sharing the same space with them, it brings a high level of intimacy. And so marriage is a wonderful thing. But let nobody tell me that marriage is not right. And so friends, today I want to talk about the 6 keys, but one master key. What the preacher said?
6 keys.
6 keys,
but
one master key. 6 keys, one master key. Key number 1.
Yeah.
Key number 1, age. So when you're going to get married, you must consider age.
Yes.
Because this is important.
True.
Understand this?
Yeah.
If you are 70, don't marry a woman who's 30.
No trouble.
You hear me? If you are 40, don't look to marry a woman who is 20.
No.
Because why? Psychologically, the two of you are in two different levels of understanding and maturity.
Yes.
True.
So the man who is at 40, he will not be excited about the things that a 20-year-old woman will want to be excited over.
True.
You hearing me?
Yeah.
So it's important to consider that age is a great factor. Also, you should not marry someone that is too young. Well, I mentioned too young. Well, if you marry someone that is close to your age, a possibility exists that the maturity, even though we understand that the maturity is not limited to age. Because a man can be 40 and behave like a 20-year-old child, that young man. A woman can be 30 and she operates as a 40-year-old woman.
True.
Gentlemen, you must also understand that psychologically a woman matures 3 years above her age. So if you want to marry a woman who is 30 and you are 40, that's good. 10 years is good. I think Abraham was 10 years older than his wife. Right? So 10 years is good. 12 years, you might be heading into the yellow light region. 14 years, you're all into the red light region. Okay? So age is a factor that you must consider. So that's the first key. Okay? You must consider that. So at different stage, at different stages of the life cycle, our needs are different. Big differences in age can result in the inability of one to satisfy the needs of the other. You see this guy? Look at this guy. He have all a set of gray hair. That girl looks like she's younger than me. She looking so?
Yeah.
That young lady looks like she's younger than me. And so what can happen if a man marries a woman that he's too older than? He can develop a sense of insecurity. You always want to know where she's going. Come on, man. If a woman is 20, expect her to dress like a 40-year-old woman? Come on, man. If she's 20, she will want to dress attractive. She will want to dress looking sexy. I'm not to anybody here. She will want to look like that. And so if you want a woman that is going to be in your lane, then look for a woman who is driving in your lane. It's simple as that. Simple as that. They are simple as that. So this will result in serious marital conflict. So I'll go on to key number 2. Key number 2 is education. I will touch on this one, but I will also be open-minded about this one because, roll on the slide. This is why I will show you that. It says a big difference or big differences in levels of education can cause a couple to do fewer things together. I remember a story that there was this guy, he had married to a young woman, but she never went to any education institution or whatever. She never went to any. But he was a qualified lawyer. And you know what? Every year end they will have their staff party and so forth. And so they would invite all the couple, well, all the workers, the lawyers to bring their companion to the staff party. So the guy was home. He said this one, he said, listen, when you go to this party, don't say anything. If they ask you anything, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Okay? Don't say anything. Alright, they went to the party. And everybody was introducing their wives. Oh, this is my wife. And she is so and so. And she has a degree in X and a master's in this. And a doctoral degree in this. But when they came to the man's wife, the man was the person to speak because that's the decision they came to at home. So when they asked her, are you home? She said, me, so. And the man was so embarrassed. Now the point I'm making here is this. Why this might be something trivial, it is something serious. Because the person who is on an intellectual level will be thinking a certain way. And as a result of that, they will be able to connect with an audience on their level.
Yeah.
Are you following me?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that even if a young woman or a young man never went to one of these education institutions, they cannot deliver themselves well. Because I have seen men and women who have not gone to some of these institutions, but they can deliver themselves well.
Oh, yes.
They are able to carry on a proper and a very good conversation.
Sure. Yeah.
And so education is another key to think about whenever you're thinking about marital compatibility. It says separate activities can generate different circle of friendship or of friends. This can cause partner to drift apart from each other. We go to key number 3. I'm getting there. Key number 3. Key number 3 is health. And this is one of the things that we do not consider much in our 21st century. And the reason why I'm saying about this, I'm talking about this, is that you find a young man meets a young woman, he loves her, she loves him, that's fine. They plan, they plan their wedding together, but nobody never stopped to think whether the man is able to get a child or the woman is able to bear a child. No one ever stopped to consider that. And so what happened? You get married, and when you get married, you realize 1 year passed, no child. 2 years passed, no child. And then you begun to get conflict arising in the marriage. Because you know why? You discover that your husband is unable to impregnate you because he might have a low sperm count. Or it might be the wife, she's unable to conceive because something is wrong with her womb. It is important that before you get married, you go and see a doctor or a health care provider together to know of your health status. So that when your health status is being revealed, the man and the woman, they must be able to make a decision if they're going to go on with the marriage or not.
Oh, yeah.
So that if you go on with the marriage, you're going on in the marriage with the understanding that my partner has a health deficiency. Okay?
Yeah.
And so it's important to consider that. The Bible says in 3 John 1:2, it says, Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in health, in all things, and be in health, just as your soul prospers. Let's move on. And so you need to check health status, health habits. You need to check all of that out. So I move to the 4th key. Key number 4, culture. Now this one is a little shady area, a little gray area, so to speak. Because even though you might marry a person from different culture, it doesn't necessarily mean that you and that individual cannot be together. So it's like if I am from the West Indian culture and I decide to go and marry somebody from the, let's say, the European culture, there will be some differences there between us. Okay? But that doesn't mean that a relationship cannot work. You know why? Because God is so great.
Amen.
That God can take a man from Jerusalem and a woman from Trinidad and bring the two of them together and make them marry each other and raise God-fearing children. Amen. That will go to heaven.
Amen.
So even though specialists says that culture must be considered, I am saying, based on the word of God,
yeah, that
culture, though it differs, God can still work amidst the culture.
Amen.
Okay? And so even though we need to consider that as well. So it says some culture differences are simple. You can roll on so that we can highlight them. Yet some cultural differences are simple and can be easily solved. Others are complex and need to be examined and resolved to facilitate marital success. So, my brothers and sisters, marriage can work. I have seen marriage work. I have seen marriages work. I made a conscious decision when I got married that I am not going to separate with my wife because I know what it can do to a child.
Oh yes.
If it was not for God, I would not have been here talking to you today. Because my mind and my brother's mind was so messed up when our father and our mother separated. And the worst thing that happened to us was that when they separated, our father, he never played a role in our lives after. I see him every 3 years. The last time I saw my father was 2015 or 6, I think. I think it was on my wedding day. I didn't see him after that. No, I'm lying. I'm incorrect. I saw him last year, December. Well, that's when I was back home in Guyana. I saw him while I was passing in a bus. That's the kind of relationship we have. And I don't want that for my family. So I decided by God's grace, with God's help, I am going to work hard.
Amen.
With God's help to make my marriage work. Amen. And so marriages can work. Let's go to the 15. I'm winding down. The 15. Family values. This is very important. You heard me?
Yeah.
This is very important. Roll on the slide. The book of Ezekiel gives us an interesting narrative. It talks about the adulterous daughter who adopts the value system of her mother. Now, the thing about this text, and I want to read it to us today, because ever so often, we do not consider family values. But understand, when you got married, you are not just married to the woman only, or the man. You are marrying into a family.
Yeah.
And every couple that comes into a marriage relationship comes with a baggage. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that baggage, if we do not have God in our midst, it will take the work of a lifetime to unpack that baggage.
We'll see.
And hear what the Bible says. I'm reading from Ezekiel 16:44. It says, "Behold, everyone that useth proverbs shall use his proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is our daughter." The Bible is saying this. Now this is what this text is saying. Just the same way you see how the mother is, the probability exists that that's how the daughter will be.
Yeah.
You hear me?
Yeah, Lord, don't play.
You hear what the preacher is saying?
Yeah.
Friends, let me tell you. Let me tell you this. This might sound as though it is foolish, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know why? This is why it makes a lot of sense. The child that this mother brought forth into this world, she grew up with a mother. He grew up with a mother. He sucked the mother's breast. They spent the same amount of time in the environment. Psychologist says, and this is, what's his name, Sigmund Freud, he says that a child learns through nature and nurture. So the environment shapes the child. The home shapes the child's character. And whatever the home imparts to the child through the parents, that's what the child will carry out through the rest of life, in life. And so, the Bible is saying that the adulterous daughter, she adopts the value system of her mother. But you know what I like about Jesus?
Amen.
Is that even though you might born into an adulterous home, that cannot be your life's end.
True.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Neither a means to your life's end. Because you know why? Because God can make a difference.
Amen.
And we will see that as we go on in the message.
Yeah.
Let's roll on with the slide. The Bible says, the godly youth adopt the values of his mother and grandmother. And this was Paul talking to Timothy. But we'll move on from that. Let's go on. It says, to a great extent, we are products of the values of our parents, for it is in the home that, as children, we see models develop, concepts, and unconsciously assimilate standards of behavior. Let's roll on. Look at this. I will show you, even though you grow up in a family that is dysfunctional, God can make the difference.
Amen.
You see, God can break the family cycle that is a curse.
True.
Look, Manasseh was one of the most wicked Israelite kings.
Yeah, true.
His son Ammon followed his example. But watch this.
Yeah.
Josiah, Ammon's son, became king at age 8.
Yes.
Josiah broke the cycle.
Amen.
Josiah broke the cycle because Josiah gave himself to the Lord.
Amen.
And I'm saying today, friends, that it does not matter what family you come from.
Yes.
If you come from the ghetto, God can make you a different creature.
Yeah.
I'm talking to somebody today.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, friends. I know what the ghetto is like.
Oh, yes.
I came from the gutter. But God took me out of that gutter.
Amen.
And He polished me,
Oh, yeah.
cleaned me up, sent me back to school,
Yes.
give me an education to educate men to become great in this life.
Amen.
And I am saying, regardless of the family that you come from, God makes the difference.
Yes.
He has the final say.
That's right.
No man or no woman has the final say. And so we go to key number 6. Key number 6 is temperaments. I like this one. This is the reason why I like this one. It is important to know and understand somebody's temperament before you get married to them.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
It's important. There are 4 basic temperaments. Let's go on. 4 basic temperament. 4 basic temperament. And these 4 basic temperaments. And these temperaments are, let's go on. 4 basic temperaments. Let's go on. Go on. Number 1, they have the sanguine. That's my temperament. Sanguine. I'm going to show you why. Let's go on. Because I'm outgoing. Talkative sometimes. No, let's go back to that one. Let's go back to that one. Sometimes. I'm charismatic. I can be very charismatic at times. And so the sanguine person with a sanguine personality is the person that does not worry about certain things at all. Everything becomes fun to them. Everything is fun. And so, from time you say, hey, let's go to the social, the sanguine, they say, let's go. And the sanguine has a personality that they can go and gather people as easy as possible and get them to go to that social. So the sanguine personality is very important to consider. That's one temperament that we must consider. Temperament number 2. Then you go to the cleric. The cleric are the leaders. You know those bossy kind of people who will say, I want it to be done this way and no other way but my way. Those are the clerics. The hard-working. The clerics are the I person or I rule. Let's go. That's the clerics. So they are hard-working. They are practical. That's who the clerics are. They are practical. So imagine you being a cleric, married to a cleric. That is war in the house. Everybody wants to be leading. And so the man saying, hey, I'm the leader. The woman saying, I'm the leader too. So who did it do? It's chaos. I'm an electrician by profession. And I know that if you take a hot wire and you put it with another hot wire, you're going to get friction.
Yeah.
You'll have fire, right?
Yeah.
It's the same if you do that with the neutral as well.
Yeah.
But it's much more complex if you use both hot wires. If you use the red and the red. So you cannot have the same two persons with the same temperament in the same house. Or else you will have to call the fire hydrant to come out the fire that is occurring in the house. Okay? Let's go to the next temperament. The next temperament is a phlegmatic. That's the Abraham type. The easygoing, supportive, the peaceful. That's my wife. She's like that. Right? She's like that. But the one before, the temperament that I mentioned before, I display that one sometimes. I display sanguine sometimes. Right? But my wife, she's very easygoing. But I come to her and say, well, babe, you know, this thing is that. And she said, well, I'll see if you say it's that, it's that. You know? She don't challenge my authority sometimes. That's why I said this woman should challenge me. You know, but that's just her personality. She's more a phlegmatic type of person. Alright. Then we go to the melancholy. The melancholy is like Moses. The analytical people. The emotional. The creative. And so these are the four kinds of temperament that you must consider before you get married to someone. Right? Let's move on. A person may have more than one temperament, but usually one is dominant. Have I said that before? So I can have a primary temperament and a secondary temperament. Let's move on. And so, that's for another time. You can do an assessment of your temperament and your partner's temperament. So sanguine, Peter, choleric, Paul, melancholy, Abraham, melancholy, Moses, phlegmatic, Abraham. Let's go on. So if you are not yet married, this is what you should do. Put it on. Go ahead. You should take into account that couples completely similar could experience boredom. You hear? So imagine you live in a house where your wife doesn't talk much and you don't talk much.
Graveyard.
Understand? You don't talk much and the wife don't talk much. That's a close house. Trust me. Nobody talking to nobody. Now when all of them will be, Pastor, good morning. Good afternoon. And then everybody just gone to the bed, do what they have to do. Because you are in the same temperament. Okay? But let's say if the woman, she's calm and quiet and she has a husband that is very conversational, that will help to keep some spark in the marriage. You understand?
Yeah.
So opposite, there's like attract like, yeah, and opposite will attract as well. So it's important to get that. They say couples completely different could be in constant conflict. That's like trying to put a donkey and a cow to pull a cart. That's trouble. Are you trying to put two donkeys to pull a cart, but not with the same strength? They'll be going in two opposite directions. Remember, two cannot walk together except they agree. So couples more similar and less different could facilitate compatibility. Let's move on. I think this is my last key, and I'll close here. Oh, but before this, before I go to the master key, I must say this. Even if you get married, you realize that your partner is not compatible to you the way you wanted them to, or they should, that does not say that you need to break up the marriage.
No,
yeah.
Good.
What that says is that you need to appreciate your partner's difference. Appreciate how different they are and work with them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Those people who get married for 40 years and 50 years, they will tell you that it was not a walk in the park.
No.
Because you know why? One day I was reading the book Adventist Home. Ellen White says that marriage is a university that you go into and you never graduate.
Never.
You're always going to another level. You're always learning about your partner.
All the time.
Tomorrow you will wake up and you will learn something different about your wife. The next year you will wake up, the first day in the next year, and you will see something different about your husband. Because you know why? You're always learning about each other. That's marriage. So not because you're not compatible, you'll say, hey, forget about this thing. That's the opportunity to take to work on the marriage so that you can get stronger. So we go down to the master key.
Amen.
Spiritual
unity.
Amen. Yeah.
This is the master key of all the keys we spoke about before. Are you there with me still? And this is our final key. The master key. Yes, there are various keys. We spoke about the key, which is one of the key, which is age. We spoke about education. We spoke about health. We spoke of culture. We spoke of family values. We spoke of temperaments. But there is one master key.
Yes.
And that one master key is spiritual unity. It is the master key to marital compatibility.
Amen.
This is the reason why. Let's go on. Go to the text. God specifically said to the children of Israel. He says this, read it together. Everybody read it. Let's read together what it says. Nor shall you make marriage with them. You should not give your daughters to their sons. Nor take their daughter for your son. For they will turn your sons away from following me to serve other gods. Now God was talking to Israel.
Yes.
And God was saying to Israel, listen, I don't want you to intermarry with these heathen nations. The reason why is because these heathen nations, they are going to turn your hearts, the heart rather, of your sons and your daughters away from me. And you can give an account in the Bible when it happened. Israel, you see the nation, the Assyrians, they were plagued to Israel because of intermarrying.
True.
Even to this nation that met them at the border of the promised land, just here. I can't remember the name of the nation. However, and so it is important for us to understand about spiritual unity. Unity means that the two of you are in harmony. And you're going in the same direction. Let's go on. 2 Corinthians says this. Do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. Now, if you want a happy marriage, marry a man that loves God.
Amen.
Or a woman that loves God.
Yes.
If you do not marry a man or woman that loves God,
Mercy.
you are going to get trouble for the rest of your life in your marriage.
Sure.
Tell anybody, I see so. You know why? Let me tell you this. And remember, back home, myself and the district pastor, we were counseling a young woman. Said to her, she wanted to marry this guy who was not an Adventist. For the sake of being online, I wouldn't disclose her identity. I shouldn't either. So she wanted to marry a young man who's not an Adventist. I pleaded with this young woman. I said, young lady, you're about to make a big mistake in your life. Forget about this fella. She said, well, hell, no man in the church. I said, no man in this church. So you just in this district, they tell me no man in this church? What happened to the other districts? What happened to the other churches? You must find a man. You understand? This is not the only church that have men. Santa Cruz have men.
All women.
Mount Dore have men. All the churches in this country have men. So you don't have to go outside and look for a man and try to convert him and say that he will become Adventist. Yes, he will become for you. But when he become Adventist for you, watch and see what will happen a couple months after. And so we said to her, well, okay, you want to marry this guy? She said, yes. She made up her mind she would marry this guy. Long story short, she got married to the guy. The guy was coming to church nice for a couple of weeks. After a few months in the marriage, she learned that the guy has another child mother, as a child mother.
Mercy.
Then the man became disinterested in the marriage and he moved out and gone and lived with the child mother. You see, the love of Christ constrains us. The men in the church, and this is what I would say to our ladies, even though the men in the church, sometimes you would say they are worse than the men outside, the men in the church are safer than the men outside. You know why? Because God can meet to them easy. But you see, when you have to take a stone and try to make it into mud, it can't happen. It can't happen. The Bible says that the leopard cannot change his spot. Neither Ethiopia cannot change his skin. And so it is important to understand that you should not be unequally yoked. Ladies who are not married, let me say this to you softly. This church have men. All you need to do is talk to Jesus. And he will show you the right way. That's all you need to do. People are saying, some ladies are saying the church in the men. That's true, the church, they get men, probably at the church will do what? But I'm sure if you go to Mount Dore, or you go to Santa Cruz, or you go to some other church in Adventist church on this island, once you pray sincerely and you live a sincere life, God will lead you to a young man who will hear the gospel.
Amen.
I am persuaded of that fact. And it's the same for the men as well. So don't believe because the women outside are looking glamorous than the girls inside the church that you should run for them.
Problems.
Don't do that. And so that's the master key. Let's go on. And so when Paul belonged to the family of Satan, there is chaos. I mean, I don't agree with the family of Satan. But anyways, let's go on. When one belongs to the family of Satan and the other to the family of God, there we find constant conflict. Right? Constant conflict. Now, I must say this. I read in Adventist school. This is what the Son of the Lord says. She said that when an unequally yoked, when you get into an unequally yoked marriage, there is a shadow that is placed over the family, over the house. And that shadow will remain there.
Mercy.
You hear me? This is why it is dangerous to get into an unequally yoked marriage. Remember, marriage of itself has a lot of challenges. bringing an unequally yoked person into a marriage, or when it's a marriage, an unequally yoked person, adds up to the challenge in the marriage.
Sure.
And so you find that when you want to go to church, the man will tell you, you got to cook the food. You know what I mean? On Sabbath, I ain't eating no overnight rice. You got to cook the rice tonight and today. Because today I want food. You understand? I want fresh food. I want no overnight food. You understand? When you put on your nice long dress to come to church, the man will say you looking like Virgin Mary, Holy Mary, or you looking like Helen White. You understand? The man going to say that. And so you're going to look for the young ladies who putting on the short skirt and who dressing looking glamour. You wouldn't want to wear your lipstick and your eyelash and all those kind of things because you're an Adventist. The man will say, well, I like my woman like that. What would you do? So you see what's going to happen now? Eventually, you will start
Use the lipstick.
use the lipstick, put on your eyelash, put on your short skirt, and just like that,
You're gone.
you're gone. You're gone. So friends, marriage is very serious. And this key is a very important key in any relationship that you go into.
True.
Any relationship that you go into. And I must say this too, because I want to bring this message to a close. I must say this. When both belong to the family of God,
Marital
there
is
should be there, right? There is marital compatibility. You heard me? Because the husband can pray with the wife, and the wife prays with the husband. Have you heard me?
Yes.
The two of you can come together. If you have a problem, you can pray to God about it. Come to church together. Sit in the same seat together. Sing and have family devotion in the morning together. But if you marry a man who is not a godly man, then I'll be sure carnival coming up. Every night you coming up drunk. You hear me? Every night you coming up drunk. Every night. And so it's important that we understand that this final key is the key that brings success to any marriage or any relationship. Please pass forward this slide. Two big questions. Am I part of the family of God? Is my partner part of God's family? Let's roll on. I want to do some skipping here because I want to close in the interest of time. And I'll just make light mention, just go on with time. I'll tell you where to stop. I'll just make light mention of Jacob and how Jacob became a part of the family of God. And so just in case you're not a part of the family of God today, you can be a part of the family of God. Jacob was a liar, he was a thief. He ran away, he stole his brother's birthright. Keep going on. But one night, Jacob, he lay in the desert and he had a dream. And in this dream, this is what he saw. Keep going on, technician. He saw a ladder from heaven to earth. And this ladder, angels were coming down and going up, coming down and going up. Jacob woke up and realized that this must be the place of God. So Jacob was telling, in fact, God was telling Jacob, I still love you. God was saying to him, I still love you. Let's go on. Let's go on. Next morning, Jacob journeyed to Haran. He spent 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, 20 years. He married, got a family, got wealth, but he experienced no change spiritually. That's who Jacob was. Then one day, Jacob got a bad news. A messenger came to him and told him that his brother Esau was coming with 400 men armed soldiers, if you please, and they were coming to kill him. Ladies and gentlemen, he made life's most important decision then.
Yeah.
Jacob's decision before he faced Esau tomorrow. He said, this is what he did. Let's go on, keep going on. Then Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day. I like the way Ellen White described that scene. She said, while Jacob was there, Jacob divided his family. He sent one of his wives with her sets of children and her handmaid and all that, one direction. His another wife, he sent in another direction. And Jacob was left alone to talk to God.
Yeah.
Today, Church of the Living God, I'm saying that we can spend some time alone with Jesus.
Oh, yes.
To make a change in our lives. And while Jacob was there, Ellen White said that Jacob prayed honestly and he asked God to do something. You see, friends, I believe God is still in the business of answering prayer.
Amen.
Let's see what happened. Suddenly, Jacob realized that a man grabbed him. Jacob thought it was Esau, I guess. Hours after hours, they wrestled. Then the man touched his thigh. The man touched his thigh, he became paralyzed. Let's move on. It wasn't a man, however. This is what happened. It was Jesus.
Yeah.
The God man.
Yes.
The wonderful Savior.
Yes.
That touched Jacob's thigh. Let's go on. And this is what happened. This is the conversation they had. Jesus is talking now. Keep going on, keep rolling. Jesus is talking. In fact, Jesus is saying, let me go, for the day breaks. Jacob said to Jesus, I will not let you go unless you bless me. This is the point that we can come to in our family lives. If there is a problem in your marriage today, you can say, Jesus, I am not letting you go until you bring a breakthrough for me.
Yeah.
You can say, Jesus, I am not letting you go until you help my husband to overcome his temper. I am not letting you go until you help my wife to overcome her disposition. Jesus can make it happen.
Amen.
Now look at what this says. Jesus asked Jacob, what is your name? Jacob said, listen, I am Jacob. In other words, he's saying, Lord, this is who I am. He was confessing to Jesus who he was. Jesus said to him, look, your name shall no longer be called Jacob the deceiver, but you will become Israel, the victor, the victorious one. And so I believe that the Lord is still in the business of transforming families today. I believe, just like Jacob, who God touched, Jesus can touch your family situation this morning. And he can make a difference in everything. And so, friends, as we close, I want us to sing this hymn. Musicians, you can play for me. I want us to sing this hymn. This hymn, happy the home when God is there and love fills every breast. When one day wish and one day prayer and one day heavenly rest. I want you to listen to the first stanza of this hymn prayerfully. And then I'll make the appeal. When Today, church, I am persuaded that God is still in the business of fixing families. Do you believe God can fix any family situation today? Do you believe that God can heal your marriage today? If you think that your marriage has gone too far, it has not gone too far enough that God can bring it back. The pen of inspiration says that there are no relationship that is too strained that God cannot bring reconciliation. Today you are saying, Lord, I am not where I want to be. Neither am I where I used to be. But I want you to take me where you want me to be. You're saying, Lord, I want you to work in my marriage today. Are you saying this? I invite you to raise your hand. You say, Lord, I want you to work in my marriage today. Just raise your hand wherever you are. And you're saying, God, because I want you to work in my marriage, I'm saying, preacher, pray for me that God help me in my marriage. You can stand to your feet. This is the next appeal. I was made to understand that we'll be having a baptism today. Is the candidate here to be baptized? Is the candidate here? God bless you, my dear sister. I invite you to come to the altar. We'll have a special prayer today. My next appeal is to those who are single and are not yet married. And you are saying, Lord, I want you to order my steps. That when I go to find a companion, that I will find someone that you lead me to. All the young people of their married, you say, Lord, guide my decision. I invite you to raise your hand and stand to your feet. Today I want to have a special prayer. But I want us to sing this hymn again. We'll sing the last stanza and then we'll sing the hymn more again. And then we'll have a special prayer. Lord, let us in our homes agree. This blessed peace today. Unite our hearts in love to thee. And love to all the rain. invite you to bow your head with me. Talk to God for 1 minute. Tell him what you want him to do for you. And I'll pray. Father in heaven, today, God, we are thankful for the privilege of being in a relationship with you. God, today we recognize that families are being torn apart. Oh God, today we understand that many are losing hope in families, dear God. But dear Father, we are thankful for the reminder that happy the home when God is there. And love fills every breast when one day wish and one day prayer. God, we know that families can work. And so today, Father, we present your people before you. Oh God, we pray for a revival in the family institution. God, we pray that you will touch husbands and wives. God, we pray that you will touch children and grandchildren. We pray, God, that you will revive the family. We pray, God, that as you have said in your word, that it shall come to pass, that you will pour out your spirit upon all flesh. Oh God, and our young men will have dreams, and our old men will have dreams, and young men will see visions. God, today we are praying that you will revive the family altar. We pray, God, that you will revive love in the family. Bring back intimacy between husbands and wives. We pray, God, that you will revive unity in families. You revive devotion in the morning, devotion in the evening. We pray, God, that you will revive families, dear God. Father, today we are praying for our youth and those who have not yet got married, oh God. We pray, Lord, that you will touch their hearts, dear God. We pray, Father, that you will provide companions suitable for them as you did for Adam. We pray, Lord, that you will direct the choice of your people so that we can experience a happy marriage life that will lead to a better life in heaven. And so, God, today, thank you for the candidate, our dear sister, who made the bold step to give her heart to you in baptism. Oh God, heaven is rejoicing right now, because your word tells us that heaven rejoices when one soul answer to the clarion call to give their hearts to you. Oh God, we pray that you bless her. We know, Lord, that she will have challenges, she will encounter difficulties, but Lord, we pray that you will remind her that he who began the good work will see to its end. And the only way we will be faithful for the future is if we forget the way you have led us in the past. And so, Lord, I pray a blessing upon our life today. We say thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen. God bless you. And love you all will reign. Bless you the final stanza as we take over seats. But there you will get some further instructions. Lord, let us in our homes agree. Let us in our homes agree. God bless you. You will get some further instructions.
Oh, yeah.